Big wheels? Check. Fast? Check. Orange? Also check. I guess we're talking about the Milwaukee Road's Hiawatha's today. Streamlining was the hot new trend of the 1930s. Railroads figured it would be a good way to look more modern and draw passengers back and away from their newfangled automobiles. Meanwhile, the Chicago and Northwestern, Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy, and the Milwaukee Road were all competing for the fastest travel time between Chicago, Illinois, and the Twin Cities of Minnesota. In May 1935, the Milwaukee Road introduced the Twin Cities Hiawatha, traveling 421 miles between Chicago and Minneapolis in 6.5 hours. The Hiawatha name was derived from the titular fictional character featured in a Henry Wadsworth Longfellow poem. It was about a Native American who was swift of foot and could outrun an arrow. 4 Class A types were built to power the bright and modern express trains. They were among the last 442 Atlantic types built in the US. With 84-inch diameter drivers, they could easily cruise along at 80 to 90 miles per hour. These speeds were achieved through a simplified running gear design. Instead of a whistle, the A-Class had a Leslie air horn because the sound cut through fog better, and overall it was much louder when running at higher speeds. Otto Kohler designed the Art Deco streamlined shrouding, paint scheme, coach interiors, and new beaver tail observation car. Shiny wings wrapped around the nose, evoking a sense of speed and prestige. A gray body was highlighted by vibrant orange and red stripes that guided the viewer to a colorful tender with an iconic emblem in line of luxury passenger cars. The Twin Cities Hiawatha was an instant hit with passengers, and over the years, new trains and routes were added under the Hiawatha brand. Soon, an entire fleet of Streamliners spanned into Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Nebraska, and South Dakota. To power these new trains, the Class G, F3, and F7 were streamlined and rolled out in the late 30s and early 40s. They were fast, powerful, and reliable. That is, when F7 number 102 wasn't ripping itself to pieces due to a lubricator failure. On the engineer's side, the crosshead overheated and seized up on its guide. While running around 90 miles per hour, it then broke and sent the valve gear flying around, shredding up the roadbed and the engine's brake lines and streamlining. Reports of injuries are debatable, but otherwise no one was hurt or killed. But number 102 was scrapped as repairs would be too expensive. Apart from that incident, Hiawatha trains were often sold out as passengers zipped along to their vacation and fishing spots in the north or to work in the sprawling metropolis of Chicago in the south. Some reports claim the trains often reached over 100 miles per hour, all while maintaining a very smooth ride. Post-war competition then came from the newly streamlined Empire Builder and North Coast Limited. This spurred the Milwaukee Road to upgrade their Olympian train to Hiawatha standards. In June 1947, the Olympian Hiawatha debuted with new Fairbanks Morse Erie built diesels, spacious lightweight coaches, and later on the iconic Superdome and Skytop Lounge were added to the consist. Industrial designer Brooks Stevens led the redesign project. Despite its scenic route, the train struggled financially, as did the Chippewa Hiawatha in the 1950s. Service north of Channing, Michigan was cut in 1953, parlor service north of Milwaukee was removed in 56, the Hiawatha branding was removed in 57, and despite opposition from state authorities and locals, the train was discontinued in its entirety in February 1960. The Milwaukee Road noted they were losing over $60,000 a year operating the train. Each Hiawatha saw fewer cars behind it as the years went on. The car, bus, and plane were being seen as more advantageous travel options. By 1970, only the Twin Cities Hiawatha remained. Amtrak took over most of America's passenger rail operations in 1971, with a revival of the Twin Cities Hiawatha, North Coast Hiawatha, Turboliners, and North Star following in the footsteps of the Milwaukee Road Streamliners. By October 1989, the Hiawatha service name was formally introduced for Amtrak trains running from Chicago to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Today, 7 Hiawatha trains and the Empire Builder travel part of the route where the orange-colored speedliners once raced upon. Amtrak's new Great River service looks to extend an existing Hiawatha round trip from Milwaukee into St. Paul, Minnesota, further reviving the Streamliner route. It's scheduled to begin sometime in 2024. While not as fast, Amtrak's Hiawathas top out at 79 miles per hour on their daily runs. Many passengers use the route to see baseball games in Milwaukee and Chicago, or traveling to Chicago for work. Remnants of the original Hiawatha trains can be found in preservation across the US, most notably a few skytop lounge cars. The Milwaukee Roads Hiawatha trains were some of the most iconic, stylish, and fastest streamliners of their day. Just as Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's poem wrote of Hiawatha, the trains were most certainly swift of foot. Thank you to my channel members. Special thanks to Mooter, Tommy Rosini, Amtrak Fan 19, the Arizona Hot Rail, United 001, Evans HO&N Productions, and Grand Canyon Studios for subscribing to the Conductor tier. Your extra support is much appreciated, and it helps me out a lot. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.